Intention words aren't interchangeable. Not every word does the same work. Each one carries a different energy, a different demand, a different invitation. Some words restore, some stretch. Some ask you to let go, while others ask you to become. Learning how to choose wisely is part of the practice, and in this video, we're going to explore how to tell the difference. A word will not rescue you. It will reveal you. And revelation is its own kind of salvation. If you're returning after part 1, welcome back. And if you're new here, I recommend starting with part 1. I'll be sure to link it in the description. That first step matters because intention words don't work well when they're chosen in haste or without context. To reintroduce myself, I'm Rebecca-Monique. I'm an accredited grief and trauma coach, and intention words have been part of my reflective practice for nearly a decade. Now, in part 1, we focused on orientation rather than selection. We reflected on the past year, acknowledged the invisible work you've been doing, and took stock of your present life, your energy, your values, your capacity. That groundwork is what allows the word to arrive honestly rather than aspirationally. Part 1 was about preparation, understanding your inner landscape. Part 2, which we are now in, is about discernment, learning how to choose the right kind of intention word, not just a good sounding one. And part 3 will be about embodiment, how to live with your word in a way that actually lasts. And here's how we'll move through this video. First, I'll give you an at-a-glance framework for choosing intention words, the why, the what, and the how. Then we'll explore the 6 paths to intention that lead people to different kinds of words, the 5 types of intention words and what they're designed to do, and a couple of simple tools to help you test resonance and refine your choice. I'll stay at a high level here in the videos. As always, the deeper exercises, examples, and word libraries live in the workbook, which you can download via the link in the description if you haven't already done so. There's no need to memorize any of this, just listen for what stands out. Now, if part 1 helped you understand where you are, part 2 is about understanding what kind of support you actually need. Let's begin with the big picture. Before we go deeper, I want to give you a simple way to hold this whole process. Embracing an intention word isn't just about what word you choose. It's about why you're choosing one and how you listen for the right fit. In this guide, I work with 3 questions: why, what, and how. First, why are you choosing an intention word at all? People arrive at this practice for different reasons. Some are seeking restoration, some are ready to grow, some are integrating something that they've already lived through. The why shapes the kind of word that you need, and that's where the 6 paths come in. They help you understand the deeper motivation behind your choice. Second, what kind of word are you choosing? Not all intention words function in the same way. Some describe how you want to be, others guide what you want to do, some anchor values, relationships, or spiritual orientation. The 5 types of intention words help you understand what role a word is meant to play in your life. And finally, how do you choose wisely? This is where listening replaces forcing. Rather than selecting a word intellectually, we use simple tools to sense resonance in the body, in emotion, in imagination, and to refine meaning through nuance and shadow. The how is about testing feeling and clarifying so that the word that you choose can actually stay with you. When you hold these 3 together, why, what, and how, choosing an intention word becomes less about guessing and more about discernment and really feeling into it. Let's start with the why. There's 6 paths that tend to lead people towards different kinds of intention words. In my work, I describe this as the 6 paths to intention. These paths reflect the different inner reasons people arrive at this practice, because not everyone is choosing an intention word from the same place. Before we go into detail, here's a brief overview. Correctional, when you're realigning or course correcting. Aspirational, when you're expanding into something new. Developmental, when you're deepening skill, maturity, or understanding. Restorative, when you're healing, replenishing, or returning to balance. Integrative, when you're weaving together what you've already lived and learned. Unbinding or liberatory, when you're shedding constraints and reclaiming agency. You may recognize yourself in more than one, and that is absolutely normal. Usually, though, one path is more dominant in a given season. Let's briefly explore them one by one. The correctional path appears when something feels misaligned, when your life has drifted subtly or dramatically from what you know to be true. You might notice this when you feel scattered, overextended, or disconnected from yourself. When you know something needs to change, but you're not yet sure how. Words from this path often include recalibrate, rebalance, cleanse, realign. You may notice a lot of words that begin with RE, that is, to begin again. to do again. Correctional words help you to come back into alignment, gently, without punishment. The aspirational path is about expansion. It appears when you sense possibility, growth, or a new horizon opening. This might be a new chapter, a creative stretch, or a desire to step into more visibility or leadership, for example. There's energy there, but there's also vulnerability. Common aspirational words include expand, build, rise, create. Aspirational words invite you forward while asking you to grow into the person that can hold that expansion. The developmental path is about deepening. Not becoming someone new, but more skillful, more grounded, more mature in what you're already doing. This often shows up when you're refining a craft, strengthening emotional regulation, or building consistency over time. Developmental words might include discipline, focus, strengthen, mastery. These words support patience, practice, and long-term growth. The restorative path emerges when you're tired, depleted, or healing, when striving is no longer appropriate and tending becomes essential. This may follow illness, grief, burnout, or prolonged stress, or simply the season when your body and your nervous system are asking for care. Restorative words often include rest, soothe, heal, reclaim. These words support repair and replenishment without urgency. The integrative path is about weaving. It appears when you've lived a lot, learned a lot, and now need to embody rather than accumulate. You may feel less interested in chasing growth and more drawn to coherence, wholeness, and alignment. Integrative words include grounded, embody, wholeness, rooted. These words help you live what you already know. The unbinding path, which I sometimes refer to as the liberatory path, is about breaking patterns and releasing. It appears when you're shedding inherited patterns, constraints, or survival strategies that no longer serve you. This can involve boundaries, identity shifts, or reclaiming voice, agency, and self-trust. Liberatory words often include freedom, voice, claim, sovereignty. These words support release and the courage to live differently. These 6 paths to intention help you understand why a particular word is calling you and what kind of work it's meant to do in your life. Next, we'll look at the 5 types of intention words, what role a word can play once you've sensed the path that you're on. If this is already helping you think differently, you're very welcome to like the video, subscribe, or leave a comment. It helps the work reach the people that it's meant for. Now that you have a sense of why a word might be calling you, let's talk about what kind of word you're choosing. A word that regulates the nervous system does very different work from a word that directs behavior or anchors values or reshapes how you relate to others. These are what I call the 5 types of intention words. They help you to choose with discernment rather than instinct alone. The first type is embodied or state of being words. These words describe how you want to feel and move in your body. They're somatic, energetic, regulating. They're especially supportive during seasons of healing, overwhelm, or transition. Examples include unhurried, grounded, soft, present, rooted. These words don't ask you to do more. They change your pace, tone, and nervous system state. The second type is instructional or directional words. These carry a gentle verb energy. They guide action without becoming rigid goals. You can think of them as internal cues or signposts. Examples include simplify, release, begin, build, create. These words are useful when you need focus, clarity, or momentum without obsessing over the outcome. The third type is principled or values-based words. These words anchor what you stand for. They orient decisions, boundaries, and long-term direction. Rather than shaping habits, they shape identity. Examples include freedom, integrity, courage, compassion, truth. These words often guide big decisions rather than daily routines. The fourth type is relational or interpersonal words. These focus on how you relate to others, the community, and the world around you. They're especially relevant when attachment, boundaries, or connection are part of your growth edge. Examples include connect, belong, listen, witness, hold. These words reshape your social and emotional ecology. The fifth type is transcendent or spiritual words. These words are less about doing or even being and more about surrender, trust, and meaning. They often arise in liminal seasons after loss, illness, or awakening. Examples include trust, surrender, flow, align, devotion. These words soften control and invite something larger to move through you. Some words will naturally span more than one type. For example, trust might be embodied and transcendent. Belong might be relational and principled. The question is always, what kind of work is this word asking to do in my life? Now that you know the why and the what, the next question is how. How do you test a word beyond logic? How do you distill it so that it truly fits? That's where resonance and refinement come in. Before we refine, compare, or commit to a word, we need to check something essential. Does this word actually live in our body, or does it only sound good in our mind? In the workbook, I share several resonance tests. Here, I want to walk you through just one. It's simple, but surprisingly revealing. I call it, try the word on for 24 hours. Choose one word that you're considering, not the most impressive one, not the most aspirational one, just one that keeps returning. For the next day, let that word quietly accompany you. You don't need to announce it. You don't need to perform it. Just hold it gently in the background of your awareness. As you move through the day, notice a few things. How does your body respond when you remember the word? Does it soften you, steady you, stretch you, irritate you? Do your decisions subtly shift when you ask, what would this word invite here? Does the word feel supportive, or does it feel heavy, pressuring, or misaligned? Pay attention to resistance as well, because resistance is data. By the end of the day, don't analyze. Just ask yourself, did this word feel like a companion or like a demand? Did it create more honesty or more performance? Did it feel like something that you had to try to be or something that you were already becoming? Your answers matter because an intention word doesn't need to impress you, it needs to hold you. If a word collapses under the weight of just one honest day, it's not the right anchor for the year. In the workbook, you'll find other ways to test resonance, especially if you're choosing between multiple words. But this one alone can tell you more than you expect. Once a word passes this test, it earns your attention. Now it's worth refining. And that's what we'll move into next. Refinement is where we slow down enough to notice nuance. It's how we distinguish between words that sound similar but have a different texture and ask very different things of us. The first refinement practice is simple but powerful. It's about exploring nearby words. Take your chosen word and write down 3 to 5 close alternatives, not opposites, neighbours. For example, if your word is freedom, you might explore autonomy, spaciousness, sovereignty, release, permission, unbound. Now pause with each one, say them out loud, write them down. Notice what happens in your body. Some words will feel lighter, some will feel sharper. Some may quietly repel you. This isn't a vocabulary exercise, it's an energetic one. Ask yourself, which word feels like relief? Which feels like responsibility? Which feels earned? Which is too vague? Which feels imposed? Often what we think we want is actually pointing towards something more precise. Freedom might actually be about autonomy. Gentle might actually be about softness. Discipline may be longing for devotion. Refinement brings honesty to the surface. The second refinement practice, exercise 4 in the workbook, asks a braver question. Every word carries a gift, and every word carries a shadow. This doesn't mean a word is wrong, it means that it is alive. So take your word and ask, when taken too far, what could this become? For example, discipline can become rigidity, surrender can become passivity, freedom can become avoidance, softness can slide into fragility. When you know a word's shadow, you're less likely to unconsciously act it out. You can tend to the word with maturity instead of idolization. A well-chosen intention word isn't perfect. It isn't good or bad. It's integrated. And now we can look at how words behave in real-life contexts. That's where the intention word matrices come in. This tool helps you see a word in motion. It reveals how a word feels when it's lived well, when it's under strain, and when it's being avoided or overused. I'm going to show you just one matrix so that you can understand how this works. This is the relational intention word matrix. It explores words that shape how we connect, relate, and show up with others. In the workbook, you'll find the matrices across different word types. But once you understand this one, you can apply the same lens to any word that you are considering. Let's start with belong. At its healthiest, belong is about ease, rootedness, and safety. It's the feeling of being able to exhale in the presence of others. You don't have to perform. You don't have to translate yourself. You are met. The imagery here is domestic and ancient. A hearth, a circle, somewhere warm where you don't have to stay alert. Somatically, belong often feels grounded, shoulders drop, breath opens, the body settles. When belong is embodied, relationships feel mutual and nourishing. But here's where the matrix helps. Under pressure, belong can tip into losing yourself in the group or over-adapting. You might shrink parts of yourself to stay included. You might prioritize harmony over honesty. And on the avoidance side, belong can show up as withdrawal, a quiet belief that I don't really fit anywhere, so you stop reaching. Seeing this laid out helps you ask, am I choosing this word to honor connection or to manage fear of exclusion? This is where the alternatives matter. Sometimes what we're really seeking isn't belong, but home or gather, words that hold connection without self-erasure. Now let's look at witness. The emotional tone of witness is attentive and present. It's about staying with what's here without rushing to change it. The imagery is quiet but luminous. Candlelight, open eyes, something steady that doesn't flinch in the body. Witness often feels alert yet tender, not braced, not collapsed, awake. Witness is about presence without control. It's the capacity to see another person clearly without fixing, rescuing, or steering. When lived well, witness creates deep relational safety. It says, I see you and I trust your process. But under strain, witness can also slide into emotional labor. You may end up holding too much, listening without limits, staying present at your own expense. It may create emotional distance, staying so neutral that you withhold warmth or care. And on the other side, when avoided, you might overstep or intrude, offering advice when what's actually needed is simply presence. This is why the alternatives are revealing. Sometimes the work isn't witness, but see or attune, words that soften the demand while keeping the relational intention intact. Again, the matrix doesn't judge the word. It shows you how the word behaves through you. It's noticing how a word feels, moves, and asks when you imagine living it. That's the work the matrices are doing quietly in the background. Before we close, let's take a breath and gather what we've explored. In this video, we've looked at why people choose intention words through the 6 paths to intention. We've explored what intention words actually are through the 5 types and the different kinds of work that they do. And we've practiced how to choose wisely using resonance, refinement, and discernment rather than impulse. This practice is about choosing a word that can hold you. A good intention word lives well. To bring together what we've explored in this video, here are a few reflection prompts to help you notice which word carries the right weight and truth for you. Let them help you feel into what you've heard and what's responding inside you. You don't need to answer all of these. Let 1 or 2 meet you. Which path best reflects why I'm choosing an intention word right now? What type of word am I most drawn to? And what does that reveal about what I need? When I say my word aloud, what happens in my body before my mind speaks? What part of this word feels steady and what part feels slightly uncomfortable? If this word were to teach me something this year, what lesson might it already be offering? Sit with these gently. There is no rush. In the next video, we move from choosing the word to living with it. We'll explore why intention words often fade, the inner chasms that interrupt embodiment, and the simple micro and macro practices that help a word stay alive across a year. Not through force, through rhythm, return, and relationship. If something still feels unsettled, that's okay. Clarity often arrives after listening, not during. I'll see you in part 3. Until then, be well.